how did he bring the two of you guys together? Like, what would he say? It's three of you. It's you, your brother, and your sister. What would he say to keep you guys together? Was it, hey, you guys can never backstab each other. You guys can never do, like when the whole example we given with Logan and Jake to you, that doesn't make any sense. Correct. What did he say to unify the two of you guys or the three of you guys?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. He was very, very focused on my brother and I's relationship and making sure we're close. And he just made it clear that as you excel in life, you're going to have a lot of enemies. And if you can't rely on your brother, you can't rely on anybody. And even when we were kids and we would argue, I remember one time we were arguing over Lego, dumb shit. And we were in the dining room and we're arguing over Lego. And my brother ran in there and said, Andrew stole the Legos, da, da, da. And he said, I don't have time for this bullshit arguing over fucking Legos. And my brother was crying because we'd had a little fight and I'd hit him or whatever. And he put us in the dining room. He said, you're both staying in this room in fucking silence for 2 hours straight. If I hear a noise, I'm starting the timer. So sit here. And we're both scared to get hit from him, right? So we're like, shit. So we sit there. And we're sitting there looking at each other, two 10 and 8-year-olds, crying, angry at each other. And as soon as one of us would like move on the seat, he'd say, I'm starting again. And after 2 hours of sitting in perfect silence, it got to the point where me and Tristan learned, just don't argue around Dad, because you're going to end up just sitting in silence, staring at each other in the face, just sitting there. So we just didn't argue around Dad anymore. And then by extension, Mom was like, I'll tell your dad. So it was like, oh shit. And then we just stopped arguing completely. Me and my brother have not had a serious argument in years.
Gotta love it.
Well, if we disagree,
we'll
like, okay, we disagree, da-da-da. It'll be 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Sure.
But we'll never, ever argue. We share everything. We live in the same house. All the cars we share, bank accounts, like, besides women in underwear, you name it. We share absolutely everything from head to toe. We never, ever, ever argue. And another key to that relationship is Tristan accepting I'm the older brother. That is a big key to it. Tristan will accept.
Older or alpha? There's a difference.
It is a difference. But I also think if we ever do truly contest, he will say, okay, well, it's 50-50. And I might pull out this card once a year if that, but you're the older brother. So there still is that older brother
Meaning
thing.
He knows you're the alpha.
I think so. Yeah, I think he knows, well, you're the big brother. You're the older one, so thing. So if we're ever 50-50 on a call, I'm the older brother. So that's it. But I also, unlike a social media company, know when to use my power. I also know when to concede and when to say, you know what? Okay, you know more about this, or you know more about that, or you care about this more than I care. I don't give a shit. Whatever. But very rarely I can pull that card. But he was very, very interested in creating that relationship and making it very, very clear to us that as my father lived in a combative world where he was surrounded by enemies in his mind. Whether it's a Corolla with a license plate, whether it's people trying to kill him, whether whatever, the KGB agent at the chess tournament who threatened him in Russian. My father was fluent in Russian. He always had enemies. And he was actually attacked and very badly hurt in Budapest in 1998. He played in a chess tournament. He beat a Russian grandmaster, and then he was jumped and beaten in the subway and had to be hospitalized and nearly killed him in a subway in Budapest in 1998. He believed it was a hit from the KGB, but the guy was an ex-KGB guy. I personally think you just beat an ex-KGB guy and pissed him off. Wrong place, wrong time. Eastern Europe was different in the 90s. They hurt him bad. So he lived in a very combative world. And in his world, it was, Andrew, they're going to come for you. You're a Tate. They're going to come for you like they came for me. And if you haven't got Tristan, you haven't got anybody. And he always taught us.
Combative or paranoid?
And that's the thing. You're paranoid until you're right. Yeah. You can be paranoid for 20 long years. And then it goes down. So it's hard to once again say. It's also, again, like when I talk about my father, we talk about, let's say, the number plate things. Was this person following them? No. But that's his world. Your mind is your world. If in your world, we talked about believing in things that give and giving it power. If you believe you're being followed, you're effectively being followed. Like, what's the difference, right? So he was paranoid, but he was reacting to the reality he lived. And that was who he was. And he had enough unfortunate incidents involving pure violence to know that the world can get violent quickly. And this is the difference between fighting and violence. We talk about this all the time. People say, oh, Tate, but you're a fighter. And I say, listen, I grew up in a world of violence. And even to this day, I know some very, very violent people. And there's a massive difference between fighting and violence. I've seen genuine violence, and it's an ugly thing. Like, I'm a fighter, right? But if I had a real beef with someone, let's say they killed a member of my family, I wouldn't be trying to fight that man. I'd be aiming to be violent. An SUV on a pavement is violent. 10 dudes with a machete is violent. Like, violence is violence is when you don't allow any chance of victory for the opponent. Violence is there's no competition involved. Violence is just pure attack. And my father's been subject to that, and he survived it. But he's seen how it works, and he's just made it very clear. Andrew and Tristan, your best hope is together. You can't do it apart. You can't do it separate. And this is also, I think, a lot of our mentality, even to simple things like girlfriends. Because a lot of brothers, they get different girlfriends and they move in with their different girlfriends, and their girlfriend doesn't want them hanging around with their brother because they're too busy having fun getting girls and all this kind of shit. And to a degree, your relationship with females can attack your power dynamic of your brothers. But me and my brother never allowed that. If I sat with a girl and she said, "Oh, your brothers, I don't like your brother," I said, "Listen, you better learn. You can learn or you can leave his house. This is your house. This is our house. You can choose. You like the Tate brother. You like me, obviously romantically, but you like him. He's your best friend. Or you can leave this house." And some girls have left. That's fine. But we've always allowed nothing to get in between us.
If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch the entire podcast, click over here. And if you want to be connected with experts, influencers such as Kiyosaki, Tate, Connolly, Paul Menteri, myself, and others, download the app Minect, where you get a chance to connect with these folks by the minute. You get to buy the minute or have FaceTimes with them, 15 minutes, ask them any questions you may want to have. Download the app Minect and start connecting with influencers and experts today.